The spectral crimson eye, a beacon of Freya's defiance, began to dim, its vibrant glow yielding to an encroaching pallor.
Yet, the obsidian shard pulsed louder, its surface rippling with forgotten memories, whispering of a pain that had festered for eons.
The skeletal hand, once a conduit of impossible power, crumbled to dust, its ancient structure succumbing to the very forces it had fought. From the dissipating shadow and the fractured remnants of the invisible barrier, a new form began to coalesce. It was amorphous, terrifying, a horrifying synthesis of Freya's fading will, the primordial horror's primal rage, and the chilling emptiness of the void itself. This nascent entity, a child of despair and desperate will, now faced an enemy so vast, so ancient, that its very existence was an affront to all that was. The spectral eye, now tinged with a nascent hunger, flickered, revealing not the fierce will of Freya, but something far more primal, far more desperate.
The obsidian shard, its whispers silenced, fell inert, its purpose seemingly fulfilled, or perhaps, tragically, lost. The void entity, sensing the shift, the birth of this new, unstable power, recoiled slightly, a flicker of something akin to surprise in its unfathomable depths.
But this was no respite. The newly formed entity, a twisted echo of Freya, turned its nascent gaze, now burning with an unholy light, towards the void. It was a declaration of war, not just against oblivion, but against the very concept of nothingness. A guttural, alien sound, a shriek of pure defiance and nascent agony, tore through the silence of the void. The spectral eye pulsed with a renewed, yet darker, intensity. It wasn't just Freya's will anymore, it was a tapestry woven from every plea, every sacrifice, every moment of terror and hope that had ever existed. This new being was a living embodiment of cosmic despair, a desperate surge against the inevitable tide of non-existence.
The shadow of the void entity, an omnipresent darkness, seemed to shrink, not from fear, but from a primal, instinctual revulsion. This was an anomaly, an aberration that threatened the very order of its eternal reign. The amorphous form of the new entity began to shift, to stretch, its edges blurring as it actively absorbed the dissipating remnants of the void's assault. It was growing, feeding on the very destruction it was meant to oppose. The spectral eye focused, its gaze no longer a plea but a predatory stare. It locked onto the void entity, and a single, chilling question, not spoken, but felt, resonated through the fractured reality: who are you to erase what is? The void entity, for the first time, seemed to hesitate. Its vast, unknowable consciousness grappled with this emergent, defiant spark. Was this a new form of resistance? Or simply a more potent form of despair to be consumed? The obsidian shard, inert moments before, began to hum, a low, resonant frequency that vibrated not through the air, but through the very fabric of existence. It was a song of memory, a lament for what was lost, and a promise of what could be, or perhaps, what must be. The amorphous entity let out a sound that was not a roar, but a mournful, echoing wail, as it felt the last vestiges of Freya's original intent slipping away, replaced by an all-consuming, primal need to simply be. The void entity paused, its advance halted by this unexpected surge of pure, unadulterated existence. It turned its unseen gaze upon the minuscule fragment of obsidian, a flicker of something that might have been curiosity, or perhaps, a nascent fear. The true battle was about to begin. The spectral eye, now a mere flicker, offered no answer, only the chilling echo of a nascent hunger. The obsidian shard, silent and broken, offered only the memory of pain. But in the void, the tiny obsidian fragment pulsed, a silent testament to a will that refused to be extinguished. And then, the void entity moved. Not to destroy, but to absorb. It extended a tendril of pure darkness, not towards the amorphous entity, but towards the minuscule fragment of obsidian. The amorphous entity, driven by its own desperate hunger, let out a shriek of pure terror and rage, and lunged to protect the fragment.